The Ridley-Tree Cancer Center will open on Monday, 5 days from now. Amazing and important things will happen here for decades. That's an expression that is used a lot, but it is actually will be true here. Hugely important decisions will be made. The most important some will ever make in their lives. There will be times of great joy as people learn that they are cured, and still too often, times of great sadness as they learn something else. New research will occur. New doctors will come from across the country, as has happened only a few days ago with the arrival of the community's first ever fellowship-trained oncologic surgeon. Big city academic medical center quality cancer care will be delivered with small town caring so close to home. I should mention that on a different scale of importance, an amazing thing has already happened. After more than 30 years in the basement, our radiation oncology doctors will now have windows. You see, the radiation therapy equipment requires 11 million pounds, that's a true number, of concrete around it. So it has to be on the bottom floor, which is almost always in the basement, which is where they've been for the last 30 years. Dr. Blount mentioned that this is where he's always been for his whole career, including at UCLA. Despite their location, our remarkably well-trained radiation therapy team just earned APEX accreditation, a sign of excellence in the industry. And in fact, they are the first Southern California group to achieve it. Congrats on the industry honor, and congrats on the above-ground offices. It's hard to recall all that has happened during the journey to this great opening, but there are two moments I'd like to call out. They both involve the action of our major honorees, Lady Leslie Ridley-Tree, for whom the center is named, and Virgil Elings, for whom the building itself is named. In July 2015, the front page of the Montecito Journal announced the lead gift by Lady Ridley-Tree. That came about memorably when I told Leslie about our plans with no intention of asking her for a gift that day. And she said, "You should ask me for a gift today," which is just something that doesn't happen every day to those of you who have done any of this kind of thing. That $8.2 million gift bounced us from the silent phase of our campaign loudly into the limelight. 1 year later, Leslie contributed another $2.5 million, bringing her gift to $10.7 million. I've talked about Leslie extensively at the beam raising ceremony, and I'm not, unfortunately, going to be able to repeat all of that today. But Leslie fortunately gives us new things to mention to remind us just how remarkable she is. For instance, she just bought a vineyard, which she now runs, as if running an aircraft parts business and being a philanthropic pillar of this community were not enough. Her energy is remarkable. Her leadership support got this campaign off the ground and has inspired many others to support this new facility. She set the bar for success for this campaign. I'd like to talk about Virgil Elings for a moment. I recall walking through this building when it consisted of metal framing and rebar, and we had to carefully step so we wouldn't fall in the rebar. Virgil asked the usual insightful questions that a PhD physicist can ask about linear accelerators. We have two of them here. And I said a lot of, "I don't know about that, Virgil. I'll have to get back to you." It had rained the night before, and I remember standing and we both looked out through the framing at some of the views that you'll see, and I remember thinking that one of us, me, wished he knew a lot more about physics. But shortly after that, Virgil made his $4 million gift, and for that we have named this building after him. I've mentioned both Leslie and Virgil, but there are many others who have contributed generously to this project, and I'd like to take a moment to just call them out. Of course, first we have to thank our partner, the Cancer Foundation of Santa Barbara, without whose decades of effort none of this would have happened. I'm going to take a moment to mention those besides Lady Ridley-Tree and Virgil Elings who have given more than $1 million. Our $2.5 million donors start with Cottage Health. And I like to thank Ron and all of the Board of Trustees, many of whom are right here, for that incredibly generous gift. Dick and Noelle Wolf, and Noelle just had to leave, for the Wolf Education. Oh, good. Noelle. For the Wolf Education and Training Center that will open in November. That's right on the other side of the parking lot, the building that's going to be, that's being built right now. Our $1 million donors include Roger K. Bauer, Jim and Wendy Drasdo, Hugh and Hunter Foster family, Anna and David Grotenhouse, Judy and Jeff Henley, Maury and Irma Jerkowitz, William and Nancy Kimsey, Shirley and Seymour Lair, the Lovelace family, Dr. Nancy O'Reilly and daughters Lauren, Lee, and Reagan, Sansom Plinick, Marianne Shaw, and the Elaine Stepanek Foundation Trust and Estate. I'd like to just acknowledge that. During this campaign for our new cancer center, this community contributed $47 million towards this $53 million project. I would like to acknowledge the village of volunteers who helped make this happen, starting with the trustees of the Cancer Foundation and Sansom Plinick. And I'd like you all to just stand so we can acknowledge you. Next, I'd like to thank the members of the campaign cabinet under the leadership of Lady Leslie Ridley-Tree. They are Dan Gainey, Ed and Sue Birch, Marianne Shaw, and Peter McDougall. Can you all stand? I want to thank Gary Bruno and GL Bruno and Associates for building us this great building. There are countless staff at both Sansom Plinick and the Cancer Foundation to thank, but I want to call out Dick Drew and Lindsay Cortina. They're there. Whom we tasked with making sure that everything happened. And it's a lot to move 12 doctors, install several $1 million worth of equipment, and have this all happen on time and on budget. They will hand their great work over to our new VP of Oncology Services, Matt Kunkel, who has come to us from Stanford. And finally, I'd like to thank Rick Scott for the guidance that he has given over the years, actually decades, to making this happen. Thank you, Rick. We all owe you our thanks. As you walk around tonight, you'll notice the beautiful artwork on the walls. I know many of you have already done that. It really is something, so I encourage you to do that. I want to thank Bobby Rosenblatt for spearheading that effort, and to the art community for contributing their paintings and photography. Most of the artists are here this evening, and I do want to say thank you. It means a lot to our staff, our patients, and their families. And now I'd like to introduce Rick Scott, who I said a minute ago has been here from the very beginning.
Good evening. Kurt mentioned a whole lot of names there. There's so many more that could be thanked, but there's one name he didn't mention, and that person deserves a whole lot of thanks for his leadership in making this a reality. I'd like to thank Kurt Ranselhoff for everything he's done. Over the course of this journey to build this new cancer center, I've given nearly 300 presentations and tours, many of you. And it's given me the opportunity to tell the story of this great institution, its history, its promise, and its vision for the future. As you all know, the story started with a promise of hope made by the founder of the Cancer Center, Elijah Converse, to his wife, Lillian, back in 1949. And that promise was to provide superior cancer care close to home. His vision and his dream of giving hope to patients in this community has driven the mission of the Cancer Center for the last 70 years, keeping this community on the vanguard of modern cancer care by providing the latest state-of-the-art equipment, recruiting incredibly talented and compassionate physicians and staff, participating in clinical research, and by being a constant source of support for our patients and their families. I've been reminded on this journey of the renewal of that promise time and time again. I've had the pleasure of meeting hundreds of former patients and their loved ones who have shared with me their stories of the wonderful care that they received through this institution. I met 5, 10, 15, 30-year survivors. The one that took my breath away was a lady that came through for a tour that was a patient of Dr. Jessup Love's back in 1958, a 59-year survivor. Dr. Love was one of a long line of incredible physicians that have continued to dedicate their lives to the care of our patients. What a wonderful testament to the hope that this institution has provided throughout its history. Over the years, the promise has been championed by countless heroes, staff, trustees, incredibly generous individuals, and patients that have made it possible to deliver this amazing care regardless of the ability to pay. In opening the Ridley-Tree Cancer Center next week, the latest installment of that promise of hope becomes a reality. As Kurt said, it takes a village. Thank you all for your talent, your dedication, your compassion, your love, and your generosity. Because of you, the promise of hope has been fulfilled by this generation. And there is a whole new history of hope to be written in the new, beautiful Ridley-Tree Cancer Center. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for everything that you have done to make this a reality. Thank you all.
Next up, someone who needs no introduction, Lady Leslie Ridley-Tree.
What a great privilege it is to be here. And what a wonderful joy and privilege it was and is to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful building. When Kurt first showed me the drawing and the picture of this building, there was no way I could not be a part of it. I just really had to jump in with everything I could to be a part of it. For my friends, for Holly, for Katie, for Michael, for all the people that I loved, that have gone before, that have fought, who have won, who are winning, who will come here, who need comfort, who need care. I just wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, this is a beautiful place. It will give comfort, it will give care, it will give love, and I want to be part of that. What a privilege it's been. And now when I look at it, when I walk through it, I broke into tears. It was such an emotional experience. There's no way that you can look at this building or walk in and not feel the love that the contractors put into it. Everyone that's been a part of this project has added love and care to it. When I walked through it with Rick Deal the other day, it was overwhelming. The pictures on the wall, the wood that was put on the floor in the balcony, every bit of it has had care and love and thought. The nurses had input, the doctors had input. Everybody had thought that went in this building. What would make the patients feel better? What made, everyone was a team. It is so wonderful. I am so grateful that I could be a part of it. And I thank you for letting me be a part of it. I thank you for being a part of it. We have something that we can cherish and love and all work on and be part of. Amen.
Thank you, Leslie. It's just a true honor to be able to name this facility after you, and what wonderful words you just said. I want to thank a few others. I want to thank Montecito Bank and Trust, the title sponsors for tonight's event. They do. It is a shame that Michael Tobes were not able to be here today. As you walk around the building, you'll see out some of the windows, including the new radiation therapy doctor windows. This building that will not be there in a few months. That building will be demolished, and there'll be a lovely healing garden. Just as a point of interest, before demolishing the building, we're letting the fire department and the police department practice in it, because they don't get a chance to cut holes in roofs and stuff. Apparently that's something they like. We're about to have the reception, and there'll be food stations are open, and there's going to be wine that's courtesy of Gainey, Kimsey, and Montgomery Vineyards. It certainly is nice to have friends that make great wine. There's a special thanks to another volunteer, and that's Julie Nadell, for her generosity in helping us plan this day. And to Mark Borowitz of Rincon Events and the planning committee. Staff will be conducting the tours. You're going to be surprised at the novel way we'll identify them. So look for a person holding this sign, and you'll figure out what they're about to do. Be sure to check out our germ zapping robot, something that you don't see everywhere. It's on the first floor. It uses ultraviolet light to help sterilize different parts of the facility. We actually don't have a lot of germs in the facility. We're just trying to show off a cool piece of equipment that was given to us by the Roki Foundation. One bit of housekeeping finally, as you pick up your car, Rincon Events will be providing you with a special treat to take on your way home. Again, thank you for coming. Please enjoy yourselves, and do look at the facility. Thanks for everything.